Here are 4 takeaways from the state tournament this weekend that I watched here in Missouri. I don't know, I think we had like 30, 38 or something in the finals. They're tabulating the numbers now. So we had a good year and a good season and a good tournament. But, from our wrestlers and conversations and even some of our parents and campers from across the nation, and just watching, observing and seeing, one thing is learning to control your thoughts because thoughts create emotion, right? And our YouTube channel has some good playlists there for you guys if you wanted to sort of study and look at, confidence and these types of things. Controlling your thoughts. It's important that we wrestle instinctively, not really relaxed, but calm. Relaxed is a bad word. It's like sitting on a recliner watching Netflix. That's relaxed. I'm not relaxed, all right? But I am calm. And, having a game plan, and you focus on your game plan and expect that winning is going to take place. And winning isn't always getting your hand raised. If I had to wrestle someone, that has beaten the crap out of me the past 3 times, my goal might be to have a 5-point match with them. And if I can do that, I count that as a win, right? So sometimes, you might not be in a position to win a state title right now or even to qualify, but that's okay. And you get really wrecked, nervous, and emotionally sort of unstable about a big match. And you're like, I can't win. Reality has to strike at some point in time. Well, then you set goals and a game plan to attain that goal. And then, that's a win. That's a win for you. It's just like hitting a PR here, here in the weight room, right? There you go, Purler Performance, right? That's our new gym. So, right here in Moscow Mills. So our 28-day campers get to train here, as well as our, we have 3 wrestling rooms now, 204 beds, 10 acres, 26,000 square feet of space, and weekend camps. Once a month come and train with us. They had 172 kids last competition camp. We have girls competition camp. So, but yeah. Think about being in this weight room and you're trying to do what? I got a PR. I deadlifted more than I've ever deadlifted in my life. Oh, well, you didn't qualify for state. I don't care. Next year. Right? But I'm still happy. And you got to find ways to have success outside of getting your hand raised. Now, sure, if you're ranked number 3 in the state and you have had an overtime match with the number 1 ranked man or woman, then guess what? Your goal is to win a state title. That's it. So you got to figure out how to do that. And, thoughts create emotion. So we're going to control our thoughts. That controls our emotion. And what are our thoughts? Our thoughts are on our game plan, right? Because game plans can sort of help you to kind of control the anxieties, just like studying the weak spots. Maybe you have a big test this weekend and you're really not sure about these pieces of the puzzle, and I don't really understand, step number 4 of this equation, in my geometry, and I got to study it. So, it's just like studying for a test, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, I think we're just not strong enough. And that probably comes down from cutting too much weight, which is probably number 3. And maybe not even cutting too much weight, but you start too early and you shouldn't go down to your fighting weight until after Christmas, in my opinion. So get stronger. You got to get stronger, right? A lot of deadlifts, squats, tire flips, things like that, functional stuff, but also traditional, right? Walking lunges, pull-ups, a bench press, incline bench. People say, oh, wrestlers don't need to do bench press. You're not going to lay on your back and press somebody off. No, you should be doing bench press. It's stupid. Yeah, you should be bench pressing a lot. You should be incline bench pressing with dumbbells a lot. You should be doing dips with, dumbbell hanging off of your waist a lot. So traditional lifting as well, you younger kids, youth in high school, youth kids probably 3 sets of 10 to 12, middle school 3 sets to 8, high school kids, probably more like 4 sets of 5. As far as that. And maybe, after a month, you might spend a week just doing a high rep, right? You might just say, I'm just going to do 3 sets of 25. It's always good to kind of hit a few times a cycle where you're just doing like high rep volume and, hitting that. But for the most part, 3 to 4 sets of 5 is very good. Keep a stopwatch, take a 2-minute break in between sets, and focus mostly on the multi-joint movements. and not isolation stuff. If you want to do reverse wrist curls, go ahead. But you probably don't need that, right? Because we got to get over there in that wrestling room. We're not bodybuilders and we're not power lifters. That's number 2, got to get stronger. Number 3, weight cutting, weight cut properly. Okay, and we have playlists on that on our YouTube channel. You should check that out. And I would say number 4 is not really being a master at anything, right? And if you say, well, I'm only a second-year wrestler and I haven't wrestled 2 years because I only wrestle a season. So a season is 4 months. You don't wrestle much over Christmas. So it's like 14 weeks. So I've wrestled 28 weeks. You know, I only have like 84 practices under my belt. Okay. So yeah, you may not have mastered anything because you haven't put the time in. So you probably aren't watching this anyway. But number 4 would be master something, right? You know, my nephew, I mean, we know on top he's going to turn people. He was 43-1 this year. He picked top every time. Now I'm going to put it into that because I think that, you know, at the national level, we got to start picking Bond. He's so good on top. We know he's going to tilt, and he's going to tilt, and he's going to high half, and he's going to leg ride you, and he's got like 2 turns from there, and even some tricks that he's kind of made up on his own, right? How about, you know, I mean, you know Jordan Burroughs is going to hit his blast double, right? Duh. You know that Kyle Snyder's power is there. You know that Helen Morales with her pass by is always a threat. You're not known for, you haven't mastered anything. So we want to master the core skills of wrestling, the best few ways to score from the common positions, but then we want to master something. It's like when I get a front headlock, you know, my wrist trap and knee tap are just pretty much unstoppable. Do they work every match? No, but you know, 72% of the time this year when I had a front headlock, I scored. And okay, that's good. Guess what? You got ridden like crazy in the semis, and then in wrestlebacks, and then for 5th, and you got 6th place. So you didn't get off bottom. So you can't just have one weapon. You need a weapon from all of the positions, right? And you also got to have the core skills, because what happens to the other 30% of the time you don't score from a front headlock with your knee tap or wrist trap, all right? Maybe you threw a knee. Maybe you had a good go behind. Maybe you had a good down block and you go double hooks. So you have a backside go behind. You know, maybe you scored the state title overtime takedown with a backside go behind. And your coach like, you haven't had a backside go behind in one match all year. And you're 43-6 and you're the state champ. And you're like, I know. I don't know where that came from. I know where it came from because your coach drilled it. He made you drill it. So sure, you can never say, I only do these 4 things. You have to have some weapons, but you also have to have the core skills, and you have to drill those constantly, okay? So going into next season, I would encourage you to think about some of these things and, you know, try to make it better. Well, don't try, just make it better. Otherwise, you're gonna be watching this video next year saying, man, you know, I'm in the same spot I was last year. I had a guy, he's like, man, next year I'm gonna do this and, you know, it's gonna be that. I go, no, next year you're gonna be doing the same thing you're doing this year. State titles in 3 days. Don't start thinking about next year. Do it now, right? Because next year's not gonna be easier. Next year's gonna be just as hard. It never really gets easier, but it never gets harder. And so you wanna have a plan. You wanna stomp out these 4 fires that I just discussed. And, you know, but next year, the thoughts, the anxiety, the stress of cutting weight, the length of season, maybe you train in a small town, you don't have great practice partners, you got to get most of your improvement through Purler Wrestling Camp. Okay, nothing that's going to change. You're in a small town in freaking Nebraska, that's not going to change. Okay, not much is going to change next year. Okay, but if you're 30% stronger and you have a weapon from all positions, I mean, those things can sort of change, right? But it's always going to be hard and difficult. It never really gets easier, but it gets more organized, and we can remove the chaos and uncertainty out of our wrestling, and that's what we're all about. So thank you for watching. Good luck. I hope you have some awesome success.